Today's daf is daf Lamed Aleph. We're continuing about Kibbutz Aim, and then we're digressing as usual to a few other things as well. So we are up to the Gemara here, about 8 lines from the top of the page. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said, "Kol ha'oive." Actually, I skipped a few lines. My apologies. We are up to Tana, 5 lines from the top of the page. Tana Kamed Rav Nachman. We said that there are 3 partners in a marriage, and one of them is Hashem. That's why it says Isha. You have a Yud in the Isha and a Hey in the Isha, and together becomes Yud K, the Abish's name. But if they don't get on, it's like fire and fire. And that doesn't work too well. If a child is causing pain to his parents, it's good that I don't live in this house. I would also feel the pain because he's a partner involved in the whole thing. Very quickly, Moshe Feinstein told us that he had a interesting shiloh. There's a kid a son who was a yeshiva, and he wanted to continue yeshiva after he finished high school and go on. And his parents were professionals, surgeon, a doctor, and they wanted him to go to university. After a year in yeshiva, to go to university. So they agreed to go to the Moshe for a psak. And the mother, who obviously knew how to learn very well, she told the Moshe, "Look, the Torah says, my husband and I both want him to go to university. We're 2, he's 1. Majority rules." So Moshe said, "You're 100% right, majority rules. Let's go through this." The Gemara says that so he says to the woman, the 2 partners in you, let's say your father, your mother, the flesh and blood part, want to go to university. But the Eibishter inside you definitely wants to go to yeshiva. So it's 2 against 1. Your husband, the same thing. So it's 4 against 2. But your son, all 3 parts of him want to go to yeshiva. So now it becomes 5 against 4. Majority wins, and he goes to yeshiva. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said, anybody commits aveda discreetly, he's repelling the Eibishter. What do you mean? As if to say the Eibishter is not around. It says, the Eibishter is everywhere, including the Aretz. And you're saying that the Eibishter is not here. You're not allowed to walk with your head upright. It says, you have to walk with your head down, and then the famous letter of the Ramban, you have to look down. But it says that you shouldn't look totally down, and you bump into things, so you have to be able to see people in front of you. If you're going to walk 4 amos without covering his head. The shechina is above my head. We already spoke about before all the different opinions about Yamaka, the Gro, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Mashal, Taz, Magen Avraham, Alter Rebbe, and so on and so forth. All the different opinions, whether it's less than 4 amos, more than 4 amos, it's a din, it's a Leisechel Koseim, is it Mahatoida, is it not even a Durabanan? Or the Yari Malka. That's the story of Nachman's mother. When she was told by a stargazer that your son will be a thief, so she put a cover on him. She have Amos of the Malka, so Yamak is Yari Malka. Yep. Shaul ben Amalach is Rabbi Lezer, the son of a widow. Said to Rabbi Yosef, said to Rabbi Lezer, Abba, who shall listen to first, my father or my mother? Don't listen to your mother, listen to your father. Because both of you have to listen to your father. Big machlekes and poskim. Okay, there are certain things that a woman has to do for a man. What about in areas that a woman does not have to do for a man? And the mother says, "Do this for me," and the father says, "Do this for me." Who should you listen to first? There's a machlekes. Some say in that case they're equal. Some say that overall, since okay. So what happens? Both in Yeshua. In case of Yeshua, this is what the Rebbe said, but this Garshem, tell me, what happens to divorce? What's it in? I can tell from your eyebrows that you're a Ben Almana. And in other words, the first time you came to Rabbi Lezer, he also knew he was a youngster, but he was asking a theoretical question. Now you're coming away with such pointed questions like, divorce. And as if you're embarrassed to say that your mother's a widow or Yosem, she said, "I know you're Yosem. Place water there in a bucket, make noise like a tiny girl." Machlek is a shame. I told you yesterday whether you can choose which one should get it, or you just put it down and let them fight it out. It says they all praised, all the kings praised Hashem when they heard your words of your mouth. What do you mean? When the Abisha says, This is like all other religions. As soon as he said, honor your parents, he's not only talking about himself, there are also other mitzvahs here as well, but how people should behave between themselves. Then surely it makes sense that, and then we'll listen to everything else, especially where the chinuch learns that the whole union of kibbut avim is to teach you how to honor the parents, and they see the link between all the mitzvahs. So they, yeah. And the Rashi adds, because we learned before that Abish is a partner in your birth. So therefore, if you have to honor your parents, isn't Abish one of your parents? The following words says, the first words is true. Only the first one and the last words. In this end of your words, we could tell the beginning are true. They asked the question. Interesting, call him now Ravula. When do we call him Ravula? They asked the question, Ravula, how far do you have to go? Let's learn from this famous story of the guy in Ashkelon, a story that I never understood. We'll talk about it in a minute. I'll tell you my own little interpretation of the whole story. The Dama ben Asinishma, his name is Dama ben Asinah. They had some kind of business without telling us what the business was. The value of 600,000 schar. I mean, can you imagine what that's worth today? Big bucks today as well, but imagine what 600,000 then would be worth today. 600,000 golden coins, Rashi says. And whatever they needed was sitting in a box under the head of his father. They didn't want to wake him up. And he was meichel the whole geschäft. Okay, we'll get more details in the story in a minute. Rabbi Shmuel says, they asked Rabbi Lezer how far to go. Look what this person did to his father. They wanted stones for the ephod. Others say value of 600,000 gold coins. Rav Kahana masli b'shmoini 600,000 not enough. 800,000. Well, even the key was underneath the father's head, and that's why he couldn't break the box, because his father's head. He want to make him up. Let's see it. He got a reward. No, suddenly he had a paraduma, which is so rare. So here we're getting much more details. Exactly. They went into him. He said to them to purchase it. This is the second base of meters, obviously, because the first base of meters there was no paraduma. Moshe Rabbeinu's paraduma lasted until Ezra. The Rambam says in total there were 9 paradumas, and Mashiach will make the 10th. It's interesting. In the first base of meters, 1 paradum was enough, and the second they needed another 8. I know she manufactured. Whatever I can ask you, you'll give me. Very difficult story to understand. And number one is this. If his father found out that you had a deal of 600,000 gold coins and you didn't wake me up, well, exactly what a klutz. You think he'll be happy? What was he thinking in the first place? What kind of him is this? And second of all, why did the Chacham leave? Wait till he wakes up.
How long is he going to sleep?
Yeah, he's not sleep forever. You really needed these brilliant for the Choshen Mishpat. This minute, and what's going to happen if you wait 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours? Wait, and then the Abisha gave him a reward. You could have given him a reward. We'll find a box on somewhere on the tree that had 600,000 coins in it. No, you had to have a paraduma. Why this elaborate thing? What's going on here? So perhaps there's no basis for this, but I'll just give you a little lateral thinking. But this is like a little lateral thinking, so let's think outside the box. What happened here was the Chachamim came over and they wanted to buy these things, and this guy was so ibigem and so loyal to his father, they didn't want to wake him up regardless. So they started thinking to themselves, this is terrible. He's a goy. He doesn't have the mitzvah of kibbut of aim. How many Yidden in his position would he think twice? So suddenly the Malach HaMavos, the Satan, has a case against us. We got to get out of here. We're not going to go any further. So they ran away. They didn't want to give an Asinas Mokim for the Satan to have a case against Eden. And they were also baffled. How is it that a guy was such a Mahai Madrega? So the Eibishter made that he should have a paradum. And the message was to the Eden. There's a big difference between the way a goy keeps a mitzvah or a yid. The goyim, even those mitzvahs that they keep it because it makes sense. Parents raised him, gave beside him, so he has respect. We do it because it's a chok. Every mitzvah that we do, even the rational mitzvahs that we do because the Eibusha told us, and that's a whole different for them. Can't compare. So paraduma is the paradigm of chukim. Zois chukas atayda paraduma. So this is a message to the chachamim. You don't have to run away. The guy did the right thing rationally, but a yid.
So
the story.
The
paraduma is not for him. The paraduma is not for him. It was for the chacham who ran away. Just like Yoina didn't want to give the nevias because he was scared that the Satan will be cut against the Yidden. Right? And Abishter made this whole elaborate thing that he had to be there and so on. Exactly the same thing here. They did not want to be kicked against Eden, so they ran away. And the Abishter sent them a message that our mitzvahs, and that's what we say in davening every day. It says, what do you mean mishpatim bal yidam? Mishpatim are all logical things. Of course, they know about it. And we bal yidam because our kind of mishpatim, which is based on Torah, that they have no idea. Their mishpatim are based on logic, and things can change all the time, as we see the world changing right now. Our mishpatim are ironclad because it comes from the Eibush. Anyway, just a thought. Okay, let's continue. Better shot. Pleasure. You can contribute. Okay, let's continue. Then you want to continue. This is exactly what Abchin is saying. Somebody does not have the mitzvah, so why is he doing it? Not as mitzvah because it makes sense. So if you're doing a mitzvah, it's much greater. Chase explains because when we're doing a mitzvah, suddenly over here, you're worried that maybe you didn't do it correctly. So therefore, you get much more schar than if someone doesn't. Or others say because the Yetzer Hara now gets involved. So now the mitzvah it doesn't care so much. First, I thought, man, to have the one told me that a blind person is part of the mitzvahs. When we say a blind person is part of the mitzvahs, is the only mitzvah say, or also mitzvahs loises. Even though the Rabban is chayv mitzvahs, but mitzvahs loises is he chayv matayri because he's a passive, and he's only potter from mitzvahs asay, or is he potter from all mitzvahs because he can't see? So Yeshua was blind. So he says, assume is blind for mitzvahs, I would make a yom tov for the Rabbanon. I have no chiyuv mahatayra, but avidna, and I did the mitzvah. And I did the mitzvahs. As to the Shamisa Laha, the Amar of Chanina, God was it's better to be told than Adarabah. Man, normally the Ein Allah can Abiuda. The Allah is not like a Abiuda, which is the most possible. That's tactic. So that means a blind person is Chai Mitzvahs, and Avidna Yom Tov Rabbanon, so I can be Mitzvah Isa. The Rishonim talk about it that Rabbi Yosef was not born blind. Remember, we hadn't tasted what we'll have to say about Rabbi Yosef was always Targum because he was blind, so he can't say Torah by heart. That's why he was a Baki in Targum. But he wasn't born blind. He was actually, what happened was he did not want to see beyond his 4 amas. So he went into a dark cave, and then he went out from there straight to the light, and he lost his ability to see. He did it to himself.
Is that the same?
There's only one of his. The same one. Yeah.
Because he constantly reminds us.
That's an Erevin. Erevin Abaya constantly reminds you told us. Yeah. Faces over here, and all the Shem have the whole debate based on this. If women, not like the Rambam, but if the Bain Tam says, if women are part of Mitzvah Man Grama and they want to do it, which they can, according to Allah, can they make a bracha or not? So he wants to make a right. You can make a bracha because if you cannot make a bracha, what was Rabbi Yosef so happy about? If an Eina Mitzvah he said, "Oh, I'm so great, I'm doing all these mitzvahs, but you can't make a bracha. You're losing out on the bracha." So why was he happy? Must be they was losing on the bracha because he was making it. Is that right from here that women can make a bracha? That's what the Bain Tam says. The Rambam disagrees because he
wasn't with super contracted blindness. So
yeah, but that's what the Shem talk about, and they say the fact is that now he's blind, so he has a never blind person. But the Rambam says that no, you can't make a right from here, and the Rambam holds that women cannot make a bracha, and that's the Bes Yosef Shlomo assuming Zayin Pascha they cannot make a bracha. The Rambam says they could, which is what we hold. The Ashkenazim. The reason why you can't make a right from here according to them is because the Chol Pachim the Rabbanan the Mechuyev. Since with the Rabbanan the Mechuyev, so therefore he could have made a bracha. Women have no chiv at all. The Gemara had more brachas that Abaye says that there's no there's no chiv at all. Who said they can make mitzivanu? So Taka the Ritva says in the Rambam, how can say mitzivanu when women are commanded? But because what do you call it? Because men have a chiv, therefore they can say mitzivanu. Talking about an argument in general. There's a base hill on Taylor's Cane. It's a beautiful thing. This is not the base hill. This is the base hill of 300 years old. Base hill says that be'etzim, there's no difference men and women. Everyone is chayv in all mitzvahs. Therefore, they make a bracha with tzivanu. The difference is that a woman does not get punished if she doesn't do it. There's no chesron if she doesn't do it. If she does it, she has the same mitzvah as a man. If she doesn't do it because she mishabez the Bible, all those other reasons we have, okay, she has a good excuse, and a man doesn't, which is a very different look. Sorry.
You don't even have to, it just talks about that time that if a person misses it, there's a head there.
There's nothing there because you actually the able to put it in such a way that they have the same mitzvah as a man, and therefore they can say it's tzivonu and all that. But if they don't do it, there's no chesed. The Rav Paskin brought down in the Bach in Hilchos Shofet that if a woman, let's say, benches a lulav, sukkahs, goes to sukkah, whatever, if they do any of these mitzvahs that they don't have to do, they do it 3 times, it's like a neder midiraisa, and how would they have to do mahat Torah, unless they're mahat neder. It's brought down in the Bach, and others bring down as well. Oh, let's continue. We're still talking about the mitzvah of kibbutz and how far to go. When Radim came along and said, "Pamachas how your lover sick and shazov." The same Dama ben Asina was wearing this golden clothing there. He sat there amongst the great people. Obviously, he was a very wealthy guy. Ubas Ima, his mother came, but karatim him and ripped it apart in public. The hit him on the head. The yokel fun, spat him in the face. Maybe finally she realized you did open a box. And he did not in turn embarrass her. Sometimes if you can give very like quail and some very expensive birds, and yet you have no chayim haba. Sometimes you can give very little, and you make your father work and get your haba. Rashi brings a medrash that this father once said to his son, "Where do you get all these expensive chicken all the time?" And the son said to his father, "Just shut up and eat and give whatever you give on your plate. You don't ask us questions." Obviously, he was stealing or whatever. So he lost his chayim haba. The other one was when the king was looking for service and it fell on his father. So the son said to his father, "You know what? You stay home and you work on the mill. I'll go do avodas hamelech because who knows what they're going to ask me to do and how many hours a day or whatever." And so on. So in that case, even though he made his father work, he gets chayim haba. So my son. The way he was Mekai the mitzvah kibbutz there. What happened? I had 5 children who had tzmicha, great rabbis. Avima had 5 children. While Avima was still his father was still alive. And Abu was talking about his so proud of his son. When I would come, calling him writes about himself in third person. And I would go there and knock on the door. He wouldn't let his children open the door. He would run and open the door himself. But Omar, he would say, "Yeah, I'm coming. Until he reached the door and opened the door for me." One day, I'm going to ask him, Maya. One day, I asked him to give me some water. At the ice, by the time he brought it to me, Nimram, I fell asleep. Gochin, he was bent over. Koi alei aditaya. He stood there and waited until I woke up, so I wouldn't have to wait 1 second for that water. And he's dying milsa, and he was rewarded that suddenly happened. But Dodish Avima dashin mizmer la'osa. He dashin. He finally had a drash on that capital Dillim, and we had more brachas there in the beginning. That mizmer la'osa myself shown should be kinel la'osa. So you say that mizmer la'osa is that the Abisha could have vented his anger and spleen against people. Instead, he did a late symbol of Avani. Or Taisa brings another medrash, interesting medrash, that they Kerach was saying there that they thought there's no hope in the world, they're finished. But when it says there that the gates of Yerushalayim sank in the ground, so they said, if whoever's going to come and lift the gates from the ground, they're going to lift us from Gehenna. And brings a muscle river. Rabbi Yaakov asked Abai the following question. He said, I know, for example, me, that my father and my mother, they love me. Every time I come home from yeshiva, Abba Madli Kosa, my father gives me a cup. The Ima Mozgali, he brings out the cup, my mother prepares the drink. Hey, they're serving me. What should I do? I feel bad. That your mother you should take, but not from your father. Why?
Take the drink without the cup.
No, tell your mother you get the cup yourself. Kiva de Bartoida, who, because your father is a big time chacham, in a way, he feels bad that you're accepting it from him. It's hard to understand that part, but anyway. Now, all the stories in the Gemara about Kibbutz of Ain, fascinating, is always about mothers. The respect that Tanoim and Amoraim had to their mother. If you see the devotion the Rebbe had to his mother, the Rebbe said to the Rebbe Gross said to my friend Nuchi Gross that the Rebbe said to him that he did not accept the Nesius and Tavshin Yud Aleph until he knew that Avram Ela Gross was taking care of his mother. Only then. The Rebbe used to go every single day on the way home. It would go to his mother every day. So for years, until she passed away. So and all the stories in the Gemara here about the mother. He had a mother. Every time she wanted to go to bed, he would bend down the solagla and he would lift her. Every time she wanted to get off the bed, that his mother would step on him. Also, he went to shul to tell them how great he is. I guess to inspire others that they should learn Kibbutz of Amos. We're constantly asking Ad Heichen. He's the great Tarfon, who the Shami calls him Av Kol Yisrael. He used to sit there on the floor and let his mother stand there. Yeah, exactly. They said to him, you didn't even reach the half a kibbut of Amos. Did she take your money and throw it in the yam and you didn't return, didn't get angry at her? What's the point of that? There's a beautiful story. I won't go into the story. It's late with the Kiddushin Daf. That's right, the Kotzker. When the Abinezer's father was showing off to the Kotzker that his son was 12 years old, was a Baki B'Shas and everything else, the Kotzker said, let's taste learning. And the father couldn't believe it. So insulted a 12-year-old boy, the Baki B'Shas. Anyway, so the Kiddushin said to him, you don't understand. Every person is coming out of the world for a mission. If your son completed his mission by 12 years old, what's he have to live for? So the Kotzker therefore said he has not even got to have his same Rab Tarfon here. And this is part of his answer. Rab Tarfon, if he would have completed the mitzvah kibbutz of Amos, then what is he living for? He completed his mission. So they said, it's not even half. Continue living. Exactly, and he was Marchim. Yeah, exactly. Taking more further. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef, when he heard his mother's footsteps, because he couldn't see, obviously he had to hear. I'm standing up with the Shechina. You don't find that expression anywhere by somebody's father. I'm saying all the stories in the Gemara here are about their mother, which is pretty amazing.
That's the thinker we just had yesterday.
Yeah.
It's more a mitzvah on the mother because by nature you're machaber the father.
And yes, not more mitzvah. They should put him first, but the mitzvah is equal. I'm just saying that it's very interesting the devotion that the Amoraim had to their mother. So people say, "Oh, the Gemara didn't think highly of women." You can see clearly here it's totally not the case. In case you had any doubts. In a way, it's better not to see your parents because you'll never fulfill the mitzvah given properly. When his mother gave birth to him, the mace of his father died. The mother gave birth to him, mace imay, his mother died. So Rabbi Yechon was a yasser. I wonder who raised him. Doesn't say. Abaye we know. Abaye also didn't have any parents, and Rabba raised him. Throughout Shas, we have constantly Abaye saying, and my mother told this, my mother said that. So the Gemara, that's the one who raised him, the nurse, exactly. Rabasi Now this is a fascinating Gemara because it's a big machlekes. What's the best thing to do with old parents? Put them in old age home or bring them into your house and take care of them? Says the Gemara here. Rabasi an old boy, his mother was old. One day she said, I would like to dress nice clothing. Right, he did it. Then she said, being a gavra, he said, I want a man in my life. She said, okay, I'll look for one. Then she said, I want somebody just like you. She's an old woman there. I want someone just like Rabasi. Now, Rabasi, clear from here, was raised in Bava. Because we all know Rabasi is an Etzisro. Rabasi. He couldn't take it anymore. He left her behind. In other words, as the Mefarshim say, she realized she had dementia. So he didn't realize who she was. And he left her. Shama de Ka'azla she heard that she's coming to visit. So he didn't also the Kameh Rabbi Yechon, he wanted to know, can I leave Etzisrael to go greet her? Because in Aveda leave Etzisrael, can I go to greet my mother? Usher is forbidden. Stam, he asked a general question. Can I leave Etzisrael? He said no. Likras imamau, I want to go Kibbutz of Ein, can I go? I'm not sure. Isha Pudi waited a while. Hadar Asi came again. Amalei Asi Nisratzis. Lotzes. If you really want to go, Hamokim Yachzircha L'Shalom. Machlek is Rishonim. He's saying, oh, you want to go back to Bubble, stay there. Or he's saying, go there and come back to Israel. Also, the comment of Belazar, did I get him angry? He told me like to leave all of a sudden. Before he didn't want to tell me now. Is he saying get a goodbye? I'm like, what exactly to say? I'm like, the Abishah should bring you back to Shalom. If he would have been, he gave you a brach. If he would have been angry, would never bench you. In the meantime, he heard that there's an Aron coming. For the Aron, I would not have left. And Rashi said, there's no mitzvah kibbutz aim just to meet the Aron. Could wait there to the Aron to come there. Aron of his mother, she passed away. So the Rambam says that if somebody's parents are very difficult to take care of, you can leave them and get somebody else to take care of them. And the Rebbe said, what do you mean? If you can't take care of them, you're the closest one, you're a child, someone else will take care of them. So the Rebbe said, you have to stick with your parents. So the machlekes between the Rambam and the Rebbe, if you have older parents who are very difficult to take care of, what should you do? But according to the Rambam, you still have to hire somebody. It doesn't say hire, so get other people to take care of it. So old age home in a way, what you're doing, getting others to take care of them. The Rebbe seems to be saying that the only ones who really care for them are family. Because the question is, you're allowed to leave at yourself for 3 feet, get married, for business, for learning Torah. For kibbutz aim, are you allowed to leave or not? No, she had no idea. That's a harsh statement to make.
No, because otherwise, why is he telling us he can't be one time? He says, I don't know. Second time, he says, I really want. It's a very strange story.
No, but I think what he's saying is, if you really want, that means taka, you feel that this is your mitzvah kibbutz of aim, because your mother probably don't even remember, what you're going to do, which has dementia. So then it's a mitzvah. Then go. If you covered alive and dead, if you hear, let's say somebody saying, if somebody, your father is famous in a place, and people have dedicated to your father, and you want something, never say, give it to me because of me. Hurry up for me, because of me. Invoke your father's name, because that gives even more cover. And when he passed away, how is it? If you're saying something in your father's name, my father said, my father, my teacher, I should be in atonement from Mishkaveh. The Taz has a big problem with that, because Kaddish, we only say 11 months, because we don't want to condemn somebody's parents that they're going to be a Rosh, which is 12 months. That's why we stop at 11. So how come Hareini Kaparas Mishkaveh? He says you go 12 months. It's the same thing. You should stop at 11 months. Or we just say Zal Zichron Lebracha without the Zalaha. We learned when he says over a Torah, he should not say the name of his father, the name of his Rebbe. He should just say my father, my teacher. But the Turgman repeats it, doesn't change it. Abu Daman. So when we say Turgman doesn't change, whose father are we talking about? Ilem Abu Daman, his own father. The Turgman mentions his father's name. I'm not sure exactly. Repeats the what do you call it? The father's name. Sorry, when the Turn repeats, he'll say the father's name. There's a machlekes in Poskim. If you say Avi Moidi, are you then allowed to say their name or not? And then went further. You heard him about Rashi, but the picky you. I'm Abba Modi, and his Amoida, his voice is his Turkmen. Amoida, the one who's loudspeaker. Hachi Amar Rashi. This is what Rashi said. What do you mean you should fear your parents? What do you mean honor them? Moida is like These are all passive things. Don't stand in the place. You're going to sit in the place. The Loi says don't contradict the words. Loi machri oi. And don't if his father's having an argument with somebody, don't say, oh, I think the other guy's right. Kate said, kibbut. What's kibbut? Mashke or malbish or mechasa. That you have to dress them and everything else. So you really have to ask the following question. All the things of kibbut is things which your parents benefit. The things of moed where you can't contradict or slight them in any way. If your father or mother says, go do your homework, is that kibbut of aim to listen to them? because they have no personal benefit from it. There's no Michael, there's no Mashke here, there's no Mechaseyu Malbishay, there's no Maida here. You're going, against the word, you contradicting them. So where does that fall in? If your parents tell you to do something which is outside of the parameters of what we just learned, what is it? Is it really kibbutz avim or not?
Just obedience.
So we know that it says clearly that if father and mother says don't marry this girl, you don't have to listen to them, or they tell you have to go to the yeshiva, you don't have to listen to them. And saying to get married. That's it. Now the over there telling him, okay, marriage is a mitzvah on the fathers, and maybe the mother as well. So therefore, you have to have a special din that you can, go out of it. Talmud Torah, your parents have a mitzvah to teach you Torah. Okay, you have to have a din that I don't have to listen to where you go. Where does it fit in? You're not saying
anything, just like you're contradicting by your actions.
Maybe.
You see by the Alpha that he went to Masjid, even though his family was strongly against it.
That's learning. Learning you're allowed to. That's learning. So his brother also went, then he turned back. Interesting. So it's something to think about. Think tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.